Hello. Yeah, hi Amir. Good evening. So I see that you are the only one who joined this webinar. Let's wait for another minute or so. Let's see if anyone joins. Yeah, let's wait for another 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah. Hi everyone. So my name is Prakash. So I am the math tutor for this session. So today we are going to discuss about the square and square roots. Okay, so I hope everyone can hear me. So you can mute your mics as you do. I mean, as yep. So one more person join. Just a moment. Yeah. So you can mute your mic. So whenever I mean, if you have any questions in between the webinar, you can just unmute and you can ask me the questions, or else you can chat with me as well. If you have any question, just ask me in the chat.
Okay, so
Yeah. So I'm going to use the presentation along with the whiteboard to explain everything. So today again we are going to discuss about the square roots, squares of a number and square roots of a number. Yeah, let's start the class. Yeah, hope everyone can see the presentation which I have shared. So this is what the squares of a number and square roots of a number. This is what we're going to learn today. Let's start with squares. What do you mean by a square? Square of a number. Square of a number, in a sense, we just need to multiply the same number, the given number, twice, isn't it? For example, you can see that the square of a number is a number multiplied by itself. So this is nothing but a number square or square of a number. So the symbol of square is this. I mean, x square, the 2 will be in the exponent. I hope everyone knows this. So the example of, you can see that, let's take a 6 square, which is nothing but, we just need to multiply this number, the base, which is 6, twice, 6 times 6. So this is nothing but a square, right? So 6 times 6 is a 6 square. So this is how we need to find a square of a number. So it's a very straightforward calculation, just multiplying the base number twice. Okay, so that base number can be positive number or negative number. So we'll discuss that. Okay, let's go to the whiteboard. Squares. So again, as I said, the square is denoted with an exponent as 2. So this is called as exponent, isn't it? This 2 is an exponent or a power. And here x is a number, which is base number. So what do you mean by x square? X square, in a sense, x times x. So that's what we did just now. 6 square, in a sense, 6 times 6. So 36. So what is 12 square? Again, 12 times 12, which is 144. Okay. So I hope everyone knows at least up to 15 or so. And what if we get a bigger numbers? How to find the squares of a bigger numbers? For example, what is 20 square? It is 20 times 20. I mean, this is easy one though. So 2 2s are 4. So 20s are 400. Okay, so let's take a different number, 25 square. Again, 25 times 25. So that's straightforward calculation. The square of a number, in a sense, just multiply the number by itself. So 25 is 625. So if we don't know, if you are not able to remember this, just go ahead and multiply 25. Just multiply, you get 625. So, for example, if you get a bigger numbers like 32 square, what is 32 square? So we don't know 32 square, right? It's little difficult to remember. So just go ahead and multiply 32 times 32 and you will get a number. You will get the value. Just try. So 64, okay, 696. You can see that we'll get 1024. So 1024 is 32 square is nothing but 1024. So which is 32 times 32. So this is about finding the squares of a number. What about negative numbers? Okay, let me share the presentation for that. Yeah, just take a look at this. How to square a number? Everyone knows that. Just multiply the number by itself. So that number is nothing but integer. So I just mentioned integer because that number can be positive or a negative, even 0. Okay. How? Why the name is square? We know. I hope everyone knows that the square, all the sides are equal, right? For square. So that's why the square. So if we know this is 2 centimeters, for example, this is also 2 centimeters. So what is the area of the square? We are going to multiply the side into side, right? Which is 4 centimeters square. So that is multiplying. That's why it is called as a square. The square of a number means multiplying the number by itself. You can see here 4 square, how they divided here. We got 16 boxes in it. So in the vertically we have 4 boxes, horizontally we have 4 boxes. So if you multiply together, both horizontal and vertical will get 16, as you see. So this is how the square of a number works. Let's go to the negative numbers. Yeah, I think before that, just take a look at this. So these are the basic squares, right? 0 square, which is nothing but a 0 times 0. 0, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, and 16. Okay, so these numbers in the right side, the answers, these are all called as perfect squares. Okay, perfect squares because these are the numbers. If you multiply, if you take a square of any number, we'll get these numbers, right? Let's try other perfect squares. Okay, perfect squares. So what are the perfect squares? 1 square, which is 1. So 1 is a perfect. 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, and so on. It goes on, okay? 121, 144, 169, 196, 225. And if you want to go further, what's the next number? I think 280, which is 256. Yeah. And what about 17? 289. And what about 18? 324. And then 381, it seems. Just a moment, let me confirm. Yeah, 361, sorry. 361, 400. So this is how it goes on. So these are the perfect square numbers, okay? So why? Because 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, and so on. So we'll get the value of a square number. So well, that's why these numbers called as perfect square numbers. So other than these numbers, the numbers will get between, in between we have many, right? For example, in between 1 to 4, we have a 2, we have a 3, and then we have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and goes on. So these numbers are not perfect squares. Not perfect squares. Okay. So let's go to the negative numbers now. Yeah. So what do you mean by finding squares of a negative numbers? Again, it's a straightforward one. Just multiply the negative number by itself. So since we are multiplying two negative numbers, the result always a positive. Okay, let me share that again with you. So negative numbers, let's take an example as a 8 minus 8 whole square, minus 8 square, in a sense minus 8 times minus 8. So since we are multiplying two negative numbers, the answer will be in always in positive, right? So 8 8s are 64. So that's how. So if you take any squares, I mean the squares of any number, it can be negative number or positive number, but the result always the positive. Minus 11 square, minus 11 times minus 11, which means minus minus becomes plus 11 square, in a sense 121. I hope everyone understands this negative numbers. Okay. So let's go to the next part. So that's it of square numbers. Square numbers, just straightforward, multiply the number, the given number by itself. That's it. It doesn't matter if it is a positive or a negative. So let's go to the next part of the webinar, which is square roots. What do you mean by a square roots? So it's kind of an opposite, right? Opposite of a square number. For example, 4 square becomes 16. So this is a square we are doing. So similarly, if we take a reverse square root, this is a symbol for square root though. This is a symbol for square root. Okay. Square root 16 becomes a 4. So little reverse, square root of 16. So you can see the both, I mean the square and the difference between the square and square roots. It's just little, I mean just a reverse of a number. So you can take the different number. 5 square is 24. Square root of 25 is 5. So which means what? So in the previous slide, I shown you these numbers, right? 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and all. I mean, the left side I have written. So for these numbers, if we take a square root of any of these numbers, we'll get the whole number. So that's why these numbers are called as perfect squares. For example, square root of 81, which is 9. Square root of 144, which is 12. So that's why these numbers are called as perfect square roots. But if we take a square roots of other than the perfect squares, for example, square root of 60. 60 is not a perfect square, isn't it? So we'll get the answer in decimal numbers. Decimal answer. Okay, we won't get the whole number. But if you do 64, square root of 64, which is 8, because 64 is a perfect square number. 8 square is 64, so square root of 64 becomes 8. Okay, so before going to the decimals, I mean square root of non-perfect square roots, let me explain some rules of square roots. So just take a look at this before we go to the The next subtopic, square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself, it gives a number. So that's what square root of 36 is 6 because 6 times 6 is 36. You can see that. So 3 square is 9. Square root of 9 becomes 3. It's just a reverse. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So the next one. So you know how to find maybe 225. You know how to find the square root of 225. You might remember which is 15 square. Okay. So that's why the answer would be 15. You might know up to 625, maybe maximum up to 3-digit numbers. What if we get a bigger number, such as 4-digit numbers or more? So how to find the square roots of bigger numbers? Okay, for that we are going to use prime factors. Okay, prime factors or a prime factorization, using prime factorization. Let's try one question. Oh, let me take just a moment. Okay, 529. Okay, so let's assume we don't know the square root of this number. How to find the square root of this number? So before that, let me explain what exactly the prime numbers or the prime factors is quickly. So just recall it. Maybe you guys know that. Yeah. So what do you mean by a prime number? Prime number is a number which is dividable by 1 and itself, right? Which is nothing but, if you take an example as a 7, 7 is divisible by 1 and 7 is divisible by 7. Other than this 1 and 7, we can't divide 7 by any other number, isn't it? If we divide, we'll get the decimal answer. So the prime numbers, in a sense, dividing, I mean, we are able to divide the prime number by 1 and itself. That is nothing but a prime number. What are the prime numbers? You might have a question. So just take a look at the list of prime numbers. So the yellow shaded ones are the prime numbers. Okay. So these are the prime numbers. 11 is divisible by 11 and 11 is divisible by 1. So we can't divide 11 by any other number. That's why it's a prime number. So as if you take any of the examples here, I mean the yellow shaded the boxes, so all are prime numbers. So what you understand in this, you can see that most of the, rather all the prime numbers are odd numbers except 2. 2 is the even prime number, only even prime number. Okay, so you might get a question, what is the only even prime number? Which is 2. Rather, which is nothing but a smallest prime number, isn't it? This is the smallest prime number. 1 is not a prime number. Smallest prime number starts from, I mean, it is 2. It starts from 2. The prime number starts from 2. And these are the prime numbers. Okay, what is the prime factorization? Prime factorization, in a sense, is just I mean, let me explain that. Just a moment. So let's take the same example, 529. So I think you saw the prime numbers. We are going to divide by prime numbers, the original number by only prime numbers. Can we do that? I don't, I mean, we can't divide 529 by 2. So let's try by 3. So 3 ones are, and 3 sevens are, I think it's not possible, isn't it? So it's not possible to divide by 3. You are going to try 4. No, 4 is not a prime number. So 2, you tried 2, you tried 3. It didn't work. You're going to try 5. It won't work. 7, it won't work. 11, it won't work. Next prime number, 13. Next prime number, 17. Next one, 19. Next one, 23. So None of these numbers works. Let's try it with 23. You can just try 23 twos are 46, and we have a 69. So 23 23s are 69. So the square root of 529 is 23. So why we didn't get any other numbers other than 23 and 69 is because we have taken the square root of this number. Hello. Yeah, sorry guys. So
So we weren't able to hear you, sir.
yeah. It just just got disconnected. Sorry. Okay. So what I was explaining. So the prime factorization, the value we have taken 1296, isn't it? So finding randomly square root of this number, for example, 30 times 30, 31 times 31, it might take a little time, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So instead, what we can do, we can just use the prime factorization method. 1296. Just go ahead and divide. Okay. So it can be divisible by 2. Try. So 2 6 are, 2 4s are, and then 2 8s are. Then again we can divide by 2. So 2 3s, 2 2s are, 2 4s are. Try with 2 again. So what's the number? 16 2, then 81. So, and in, I think everyone knows that square roots, it has to be multiples of 2. So this 2 becomes 2. So which means if we are multiplying by one number, again we have to multiply by the same number. For example, in this we tried once, we have to try twice. So again we tried once, so again we need to try twice. So which means we need to divide the number twice by the same number. I will tell you the reason why though. Okay, so as you see here, the finally we got 81. If you want to continue dividing by 3, we'll get. But everyone knows that 81 is nothing but a 9 times 9. So we can do that. So what does it mean? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and then times 9, which means square root of this is what? So we'll get 1 2 out of, out of 2 we need to take 1, right? So 1, from this we are going to take 1 2, from this 9 we are going to take 9. So just multiply all these numbers. So I think just take rid of this square root. So just multiply. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 nines are 36. So 36 is the answer for this question. Okay. You might have a question or maybe a little confused. Let me explain the basic rules of square roots. What are the basic rules of square roots? So I said x square is nothing but x times x. X square root of x is nothing but x power 1 by 2. Okay. See, this is the symbol of square root, which is nothing but exponent of. Okay. Exponent of 1 by 2. So square root x is nothing but x power 1 by 2. Why? So I hope everyone knows this is a radical sign. Okay. So this is a radical sign. Generally, it can be square root, it can be cube root, it can be fourth root or nth root. You can see here it is a nth root. Okay. So this is nothing but x power 1 by n. If we have 3 here for cube root, which is nothing but 1 by 3. We don't have anything in square root. It doesn't mean, I mean, it means we just need to assume if we have a 2. We are not writing 2 for the square root. Except the square root, we are going to write the number here for all the other roots, like the cube root or a fourth root or a fifth root. We are going to write the number here. For square root, we just need to assume like we have a 2. If you write 2, it doesn't matter. Again, we can also write 2 there because it's a square root. So square root x is nothing but 1 x power 1 by 2. Okay. So what will happen to square root of x square? See, I'm talking about this. If you take the square root of x square remains the same. The square root becomes 1 by 2, isn't it? Just cancel out the square root. Instead, we are going to write 1 by 2 in the exponent, which is nothing but 2 by 2, isn't it? So 2 by 2 cancel out, we'll get x. So this is the basic formula. This is the basic way of calculating the square root. Okay. You might have a question: how the square root 9 becomes 3? Because square root 9 in a sense 3 square, and then just take rid of square root. What will happen? The exponent becomes 1 by 2. So 2 by 2 cancels out, isn't it? So we'll get the answer is 3 power 1, which is 3. So this is the actual method or a rule to find the square root. Because we already learned, so we're going to, find the square root directly. But this is the general way. What does it mean? Let me explain again. X square in a sense what? It can be x times x, right? What I mean to say, square root of 81 in a sense, we can write 9 square, or else we can also write this as a 9 times 9, right? So let me write it in a different way. Yeah, 9 times 9, which is nothing but a 9 square. So square root 81 is same as square root 9 times 9, and it is same as square root 9 square. And what will happen? So if we have a 2 numbers here, see, we have a 9 times 9, so the answer will be 19. And I hope you know the reason. The reason is 9 power 2 whole power 1 by 2. 2 cancels out, we'll get the answer as 1. That's why in the previous question, in the prime factorization, out of 2 2's, if you have a 2 2's, we need to take only 1 as an answer. Why? Because square root of 2 times 2, which is square root of 2 square, is 2. Hope everyone understands this. Let's try, let's try one more question using prime factorization. Then we'll move to the simplification. Let's take a little bigger number. Just a moment. 1936. Find the square root of 1000 square 936. Okay. So what we do? We are going to find the prime factors. I think you're going to divide, isn't it? So let's divide by 2. So if we divide by 2, we'll get 2 9s or 2 6 2 8. Okay, and then since we divided by 2, we have to divide one more time by 2. Okay, so if we divide by 2, we'll get 4, and then 16, 8, and then 4. So I think everyone knows that this is divisible by 2. So try by 2 again. So 2 2s are, 2 4s are, 2 2s are. Try by 2 again. 1, 2, 1. I hope everyone knows that 121 is nothing but 11 times 11, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how can we write this square root 1936? Or else if you want to take, just directly take. See, out of these two twos, you are going to take 1. Out of these two twos, you're going to take 1. And out of these two 11s, you're going to take 1 11. And then you are going to multiply these numbers. Okay. So square is nothing but what? If we have a two numbers, square, see, the square root of 2 times 2 becomes 2. That's why. Okay, so which is nothing but 2 times 2 times 11. Just multiply. 4 times 11, which is 44. The answer is 44. Hope everyone understand this. Okay, so this is how, if we get a bigger numbers, we just need to multiply. I mean, we just need to find the prime factorization, and then we need to find the answer. Okay, maybe you guys know all these things. So let's go to the simplification. Yeah. Let's go to the simplification. Okay. Before going to the simplification, let me share few more rules of square roots. So as I said, square root of x is nothing but x power 1 by 2. Square root of x squared is x. Okay. Square root of 2. Let's take a two variables, x times y, which is nothing but, we can split this. Okay. Square root x times square root y. Or else vice versa. This can be this. And then division, square root of x divided by y. X divided by y, which is square root x divided by square root y. Okay, let me give examples for each one. Just take a look at the board. So square root of 9 becomes square root 3 square, then 3 power 2, 1 by 2. So we'll get the answer. So this one everyone knows, square root 81, for example, or a square root 4 square, which is 4. And what is this one? Square root of, just a moment. See, what is this? Just take a look at this. For example, if you have the number like multiply square root 50 and square root 2, what do? You're going to multiply inside, okay? Square root 50 times 2. What is square root 50 times 2? Square root 100. So everyone knows the answer for square root 100, which is 10. So for this example, let's say 75 divided by 3. So the question is given like square root 75 divided by square root 3. See, we can't divide, we can't find the square root of 75, right? Because that's not a perfect square root number. So what we can do, just write it in a single term, 75 divided by 3. What is 75 divided by 3? 25. And we know that square root 25 becomes 5. So, these are the useful. We are going to use these rules to simplify the square roots. Let's try some more questions. Just a moment. Okay, simplifying in a sense, writing the square root term using a smallest terms or a lowest terms. Okay, just a moment. Let me take an example. So how do you solve this question? I mean, it's a multiplication symbol. How do you solve this question? What might be the answer for this question? And whenever we are going to simplify, make sure simplify in a sense writing the answer in lowest terms, which means it's not, I mean, once you simplify the answer, we are not supposed to simplify again. So that must be the final or simplest term. It must be in the lowest terms. What does it mean? 7 times 4. So some people might say the answer is 28. Is 28 is a correct answer or a simplified answer? It is not simplified, right? It is the correct answer, but it is not simplified. Why? Because we can simplify square root 4 here. How? Square root 4 times, can we write square root of 7 times 4 as square root 7 times square root 4? Now, square root 7, what is square root 4? 2, right? So 2. So which is nothing but 2 root 7. So this is the simplified answer. So this is a simplified. So in exams and all, you're going to get this, the simplified and non-simplified, I mean, simplify the radical signs, or rather the square roots. Okay, just a moment. Let's try one more question. So how do you simplify a square root 45 divided by square root 3? Okay, so let's try and simplify. So just try to write it in a single term, 45 divided by 3, and then, so just divide. So what is 45 divided by 3? 15, right? So that's it. This is the answer. Okay. So this is how you're going to simplify. Okay, let's try one more question. Okay. Simplify square root 50. So this is the complete question. Okay, you might get a question like simplify square root 50. So how do you simplify square root 50? So just think of the rules which I have shared. So please check. So what are the numbers you need to remember? The perfect square roots. What are they? 1. I mean, let's not take 1. So 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. These are the numbers. These are the perfect square root numbers, right? So just think of any of these numbers, or rather all these numbers, and check whether the given number is divisible by any of these numbers. Okay, not 1 though. Okay, we'll get the same answer. So just check whether this 50 is divisible by 4 or 9 or 16 or 25 or 36. If yes, just try that. Okay, I think 50 is divisible by 25, so we can write 50 as 25 times 2. Hope everyone agrees to this. Then split the square roots. Square root 25 times square root 2. So what is square root 25? Everyone knows that, right? Which is 5. So the answer is 5 root 2. So 50, square root of 50 is nothing but, I mean, if you simplify square root 50, we'll get this. Hope everyone understand. Let's try one more.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah, very good, very good. So let me know if you have any questions, anyone. So I'm happy to answer your questions. Okay, let's try one more question. So let's think of a square root 98. Is it divisible by? I mean, it's not a perfect square number. So that's the first thing we need to check. Then we need to check whether this is divisible by any of the numbers. Any of the numbers like 4 or a 9 or a 16 or a 25 and so. Just try. I think we can divide 98 by 4. right? So what is 98 by 4? Which is, no, we can't divide. So we just need to check the different numbers. Just a moment. Let's take 96, sorry. So 98 is not divisible, okay? So that's the simplest form. We can't simplify that. So that's why let's take 96. 96 is divisible by 4. Okay? So square root of 4 times, what is the number? 424, sir. Yeah, 424, sir. 96. 24. So what you do, square root 4 times square root 24. So that's it, 2 square root 24. And once you did this, we need to check this number again. So see, 24, we can simplify 24 further, isn't it? Because 24 is nothing but 4 times 6. So we can write 2 times square root 6, which is 4 square root 6. Hope everyone understand this. Yeah. So the final answer is 4 root 6. And here we can directly take 16 times 6. If you know the 16th table, you can directly take 16 times 6. Okay, because 16 is also a perfect square. So we'll get the answer directly in that case. Okay, so this is a basic simplification. Let's try little difficult questions. Just a moment. So how do you simplify this question? See, we don't have a square root in the denominator. So how do you simplify this question? Simplify this square root. So we are going to simplify the numerator first. So 20 is divisible by 4, isn't it? So can we write 20 as 4 times 5? We can. Then split the square root. Then we know that square root 4 is nothing but 2. So 2 root 5 divided by 2. And if you cancel out, 2 by 2 cancels out. And we'll finally get the answer is square root 5. So this is the final answer. So these are nothing but a simplification. Simplify the question. So you get the question as simplify the square root and write the answer in lowest terms. Lowest in a sense, the final terms. The smallest simplification. Okay, so let's try the few questions. Just a moment. Just a moment. Let me take a different questions. Okay, so you might get a question like square root of 28 by 14. So people used to say the answer as 2 because 28 by 14 is 2, right? But here it's not the case. The reason we have a square root in the numerator. So try to simplify that. Can we write 28 4 times 7? Then square root 2, 4 becomes 2. So 2 root 7 divided by 14. Then simplify. 2 sevens are. So the final answer is square root 7 divided by 7. That's it. So this is how we need to simplify. Okay. You might have a question. Is this simplification or a square roots applicable only for the multiplication and division? Or is it for addition, subtraction as well? We can't add or subtract the square root numbers. For example, we can't add square root 5 and square root 9 or a square root 7. Because this answer is different, this one is different. But we can add or subtract only only when if the bases or if the square roots are same. For example, square root 5 plus, let's say 2 square root 5, 3 square root 5. So I think you know that here you can see that we have a common term as a square root 5, isn't it? So square root 5 is a common term. So if we take the common term out, we'll get 2 plus 3, which is 5 root 5. We can do this. Let's try one more. 5 square root 11 plus 9 square root 11. Here you can see that again, we have a common term as a square root 11 and you can add those numbers, which is 14 square root 11. Similarly, you can divide. Let me give an example. So sometimes the other way around, let me tell you. 5 plus just a moment. Yeah. So is it possible to add these numbers? So let's take 10 instead of 9. Is it possible to add these numbers? We have a common term as a 6 here and square root 5, square root 10. So the maximum we can write it like this, okay? So we can't add, but we can simplify right like this by taking the prime factor out. That's it. We can't add the square root numbers here inside the brackets, okay? So 10 square root 13 plus or rather minus 4 square root 13. So what you're going to do here, I think everyone knows that we have a common term as the square root 13. So what is 10 minus 4, which is 6. So the answer is 6, 13, 6 square root. So we can simplify by, I mean, if we have a common term, common square root term, we can add and subtract. So this is how we need to, I mean, add or subtract. Let's try some other questions. Just a moment. Okay, 160. Let's take 160. So how do you multiply these numbers? Okay, the question is just simplify. Okay, simplify this question. Simplify and write the answer in lowest terms. How do you do? 4 times 5. Then you are, I think we can't simplify the first term, right? For square root 5, we can't simplify square root 5. So just write that as it is and simplify this. How do you simplify this? Can we write this as square root 16 times square root 10? 16 tens are 160, isn't it? So and then 4 root 5 times 4 root 10. Because square root 16 is 4. So now just multiply. So how do you multiply? You are going to multiply the integers as an separately, like 4 times 4 is 16 and square root terms separately. Square root 5 times square root 10, which is square root 50. If you want to write the answer directly, is fine. So this is the final answer. Is this the final answer? No, because this can be simplified further. So what you do? You are going to split this as 25 square root of 25 times square root of 2. So square root of 25 is 5. So what is 16 times 5? Which is 80, right? Yeah. So 80 root 2 is the answer. So these are the simplification. I hope everyone understand. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so the final topic in this webinar is rationalizing. What do you mean by a rationalize? Okay, rationalize the denominator generally. Okay, so what does it mean? For example, the question is simplify 2 by square root 3, which means rationalize in a sense. We are not supposed to keep the square root term in the denominator. I'm repeating again, rationalize the denominator in a sense. We are not supposed to keep the square root term in the denominator. So you need to write only whole number, not the square root number. Okay, so that's why. So how do you solve this? Whatever the number here we have, which is square root 3, you are going to multiply and divide by the same number. What is square root 3 times square root 3? Square root 9, right? Which is nothing but a 3. So the answer or a final answer for this question is this one, 2 root 3 by 3. Hope everyone understands this. Let's try one more. Simplify 5 root 6 divided by square root, just a moment. Yeah, let's try. Simply rationalize the denominator and solve this question and simplify. So this is the question. So what do you mean by rationalize? We are not supposed to keep the square root in the denominator. So just get rid of that. How do you do that? Whatever the number we have in the denominator, just multiply and divide by that number. Okay? Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. So if you multiply square root times 10, square root times 10 will get square root times 100, isn't it? And this one becomes 5. Square root 6 times square root 10, square root 60. Then simplify. I think 60 is divisible by 4. Yep. So 5 times square root 4 times square root 50 divided by, what is the value of square root of 100? 10. And then simplify the simplify the numerator. Square root of 4 is nothing but 2, right? So 2 times 5, 10 root 50 divided by 10. So just get rid of this 10 and 10. The final simplified, the simplified answer is square root 50. That's it. So this is how we generally simplify. So, and make sure that whenever you get a question, whenever you get a square root simplification of square root number, we are not supposed to keep square root numbers in the denominator. If we have any, just do this method, multiply and divide by the same number and get rid of the denominator. Get rid of the square root in the denominator. Okay. Yeah. Let me check if I missed anything. Yeah, so I have explained the simplifying square roots, rationalizing the denominators. That's what we did now. Okay, finding the, this though, so we'll get the decimal numbers. So the but a simplification, okay? Simplify and writing the, these are the rules I have written on top. Yeah. Yeah. Just a moment. Okay. So is it possible to find the answer? I mean, is it possible to find the answer in a single term or a whole number? For these questions, we can find, isn't it? You can see that 5 times square root 25 is 5 plus 4 times 9. So you're going to multiply these together, which is 25 plus 36. So we'll get the answer. Just what is 35? I mean, 25 plus 36. 61. And this type of questions. 5 plus square root of 16 plus square root of 81. So how do you solve this question? You can see more square roots, I mean, more than one square root in the question. So just think of a BODMAS rule, okay? So which means you're going to simplify this square root 81 first. So how do you get the answer? 5 square root of 16 plus what is square root of 81, which is 9, isn't it? So 9. And then square root of 5 plus square root of 25. So you know that square root of 25 is 5. So square root of 5 plus 5, which is square root 10. So the final answer is this one. Okay, if we get a question like this, we need to solve it. We just need to use the BODMAS rule though. So we are not supposed to go with the starting. So we need to go with the simplest term, which is 81 is the the last term, right? So we need to start from there. Let me check if I have any other questions. Yeah. Square root of 44 times square root of 96. How do you solve this? I think you're going to do 4 times 11 and here the square root 4 times 24. Or else if you want to do directly 16 times, it's fine. 16 times 6. Okay. And you know that 2 square root 11 divided by 4 square root 6. So 2 2s are 4. So the final answer is square root 11 divided by 2 root 6. But as I said, we are not supposed to keep the square root term in the denominator. So you are going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 6. So this becomes 66 numerator. And the denominator becomes 2 times, what is 6 times 6, 36. So square root of 36 is 6. So this is the final answer, which is 12. So this is the final answer. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it of today's class, today's webinar. So I'm done with the class. So please let me know if you have any questions. Anybody has any questions? So please feel free to ask me if you have any questions. Anybody has any questions? You can unmute and you can ask me, or else you can ask me in the chat. Okay. Okay, so I didn't get any questions though. And everything, then just try some questions by yourself. So please answer the questions then if you have any questions. So who will answer these questions? Please unmute your mic and tell me the answers. Yes, please tell me.
The first one, 256.
Okay, good. What about the second one?
324.
Square. Very good, Joseph. What is square root of -9?
81.
81, excellent. Who will try the next one? What is the square root of 196? If you felt that number is bigger, then try the prime factorization method.
14.
14, very good. What about 625? Square root of 625? If you felt it's a bigger number, just try prime factorization method.
Mm, 25.
Okay, yeah, you're right. See here, we got 4 5s, which means we need to take 2, right? The first 2, 1 5, and then the other. So the answer is 25. That's excellent. So the final one, who will answer the next one?
22.
22. Yeah, good. That's nice. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. So anyone can answer. Please try these questions. And let me know if you have any questions as well. So between which pair of whole numbers does the square root 20 lies? So how to solve this kind of questions? So we know that square root 16, square root 25, right? And it falls, square root 20 falls in between 16 and 20. So that's the answer. So what is 16? 4 or a 5? So the answer is 4 and 5. You guys understand? You want me to repeat again?
No.
Want me to repeat again? Anyone?
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So in that case, can you please try the next one? Anyone? Which is the whole numbers?
C.
So you said in between 6 and 7. Yeah, you're right. So let me explain how. Again, square root 45. And what are the two perfect square numbers before, in post square root, perfect square numbers? 36 and 49, isn't it? So what is square root 36? 6 and 7. So your answer is correct. Excellent. The next question. Hope you can see the question though. So a perfect square number can never have a digit at end. Which digit doesn't have at the end? 1849. Which one won't appear at the end? You want me to show the chart? What are the perfect square numbers? 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81. And I think by using these numbers, you can say the answer, I hope. So which number won't be there at the end?
8.
8. Excellent.
8.
Yes, you're right. Okay, see, 1 at 1 square or a 9 square, and we have a 4 at many places. Okay, we have at 8 square. 9 obviously comes right. 3 square, 7 squares, and everywhere. Okay. So who will try the next one? Little bigger question though. But you need to try using the prime factorization method. Are you going to divide by 3? No, it's not possible to divide by 3, right? Okay. So I think you can see that in the using the options itself, you can try. We can divide by 7, it seems, because the first number starts with
77.
7, right? Okay, you said 77. Yeah, you're right. Okay, 77 is the correct answer. Okay, so please try to use the prime method. Who will try the next one? Simplify. Just simplify this question. Sorry. Yeah. So how to simplify square root 45 times square root 80? So what we do, we are going to simplify each one separately and then multiply. Who will say the answer? Can we try, can we write 45 as 9 times 5 and 80 as 16 times 5? Can we write this? Then what is square root 9? 3 square root 5, 4 square root 5. Then multiply the whole numbers. 12 square root 5 times square root 5 is 5. So what is 12 5s, sir? Do you understand? Anyone has any questions in this? Please let me know. Okay, I'm happy to help you. Okay. So who wants to try the next one? Who wants to try the next one? It's a simple one. Anyone? Joseph? Karan? You want me to explain, anyone? Or who will try? Okay. Waiting for the answer. No one knows. So how to solve this question? Just guide me then. See, we just know. So we have a square root numbers in both the numerator and denominators. Can we write this using single term? 140 divided by 5. What is 140 divided by 5? 28, right? Then how can you simplify 28? Square root 4, square root 7. And what is square root 4? 2 times 7. Got the answer? Okay. So let's try the next question then. Yeah. Who wants to try this question? I mean, these are the simple questions. Looks little bigger, but the questions are very simple. So nobody is responding. Okay. No one interested to answer? See, let's start with 256 here. What is square root 256? 16, isn't it? What is 16 plus 65? We'll get 81, isn't it? What is square root of 81? 9. So 27 plus 9. What is 27 plus 9? 36. What is square root 36? 6. So we have already 10 here. So 10 plus 6, which is 16. What is square root 16? That's it. It's a very simple way. If you want me to write step by step, I will do that for you. $65. What is square root of C? I'm just simplifying 256 first, which is 16. So which is nothing but square root 81. The next step would be 10 plus square root 27 plus square root 9 is what? Square root 81 is 9, right? And then this 27 plus 9 is square root of 36. Finally, 10 plus what is square root 36? 6, which is square root 60. What about the next one? Anyone wants to try the next one? Okay. You might have learned a minus b formula, a minus b whole square. We need to use here. Or else you can take the LCM. You can take the LCM like this. So just check 7 minus 1 divided by square root 7 whole square. What is 7 minus 1? 6. 6 square is 36 divided by square root square. I mean square root of 7 square. It's 7. So this is the answer. Okay then. That's it. That's it of today's class, today's webinar. The next webinar. Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Bye. Bye.